Yo, what's up, guys? It's Sleepy Joe. We are here to talk about the goofy gopher tortoise. The gopher tortoise is the largest terrestrial tortoise native to southeastern U.S. It is classified as a vulnerable species by IUCN, threatened by predation and habitat destruction. Gopher tortoises are found in longleaf pine ecosystems and scrub habitats in mainly open, sandy areas with a variety of ground-laying plants, open canopies, and widely dispersed trees and shrubs. The climate of the tortoise's favorite ecosystem is primarily temperate, favoring the aforementioned low-laying shrubbery and wide dispersion of vegetation. The climate of southeastern U.S. is stated to have higher than average temperature and overly polarizing rainfalls in opposing seasons, where summer conditions have insufficient rainfall and autumn conditions have excessive rainfall. The gopher tortoise is considered a keystone species. A keystone species is defined as an organism that helps define an entire ecosystem. Without these species, the ecosystem would be dramatically different or cease to exist altogether. The gopher tortoise is a keystone species as it excavates burrows that provide shelter for over 350 other species within its ecosystem. Without these burrows, many species cannot survive, thus affecting the entire ecosystem's structure and function.
Out of charges.
These burrows indirectly impact animals and plants as they serve as homes and refuge for various species such as snakes, insects, and amphibians. They also influence plant communities by altering soil composition and seed dispersal. The presence of gopher tortoises enhances ecosystem stability by providing habitat and influencing plant composition. Without them, other species that depend on their burrows would decline, potentially leading to a less diverse and less stable ecosystem. As the gopher tortoise is considered a keystone species, if their population were to decline significantly or become extinct, it could trigger a trophic cascade. A trophic cascade is a series of ecosystemic effects that occur as the abundance of one species changes, affecting other species of multiple trophic levels. Since their burrows support predators and prey species, and their feeding habits shape vegetation structure, the absence of the species would dramatically decrease the population of other species. For example, prey populations such as squirrels and rodents would decrease since there is less protection from predators. The reintroduction of gopher tortoises might lead to an increase in their burrows, benefiting species dependent on these burrows. Predators might also return, impacting herbivore populations and vegetation structure. While there are no expressly commensalistic or mutualistic symbiotic relationships between the gopher tortoise and other animal species, it has commensal relationships with species such as gopher frogs and the Florida mouse, which use burrows to shelter themselves from the heat of their environment. Here is an example of a food web within the ecosystem. Grass and berries are consumed by insects, mice, and the gopher tortoise. The gopher tortoises have no natural predators due to their large size and tough shells. Insects are consumed by frogs and the tortoise, and snakes and foxes consume mice and frogs. However, despite Ms. Da Silva claiming to be an apex predator, I doubt she can consume a snake or a fox. Biotic factors influencing the ecosystem include abundance of shrubbery and vegetation, predation, and competition for shelter. Abiotic factors include temperature, water availability, sunlight, climate, and soil type. The gopher tortoise is threatened mainly by habitat destruction from humans. In places like Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida, their habitat has been majorly wiped out by the progression of civilization and development. If gopher tortoises became extinct or are not reintroduced, many species relying on their burrows for shelter from environmental pressures would suffer population declines, potentially leading to imbalances and reduced biodiversity in their ecosystem. Restoring the ecosystem is essential for the overall function of the ecosystem and the survival of organisms in it. Some ways to manage the gopher tortoise's ecosystem include habitat protection, controlled backburning, and preservation of burrowing sites. Biodiversity in this ecosystem is vital because it maintains ecological functions, resilience to environmental disturbances, and genetic diversity. Protecting gopher tortoises and their habitat helps safeguard this biodiversity and their ecosystem's health and function. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button. Sleepy Joe is going to sleep now. Bye. If the tortoise fell on its shell, it wouldn't be able to get up, similar to how Octavio can't if he falls on his back.